Quickly, before they find us, Dad, my daughter whispered. Before we dive into the tale, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would love to hear from you in the remarks about where you're joining us from. The tale I am about to unfold is a challenging one to express. This is not a story you encounter often, nor one that anyone would choose to live through willingly. This narrative resonates with themes of family, intricate connections, and the subtle essence of boundaries, elements we frequently overlook, only to discover their true vulnerability. It serves as a gentle reminder that what we often perceive as straightforward can sometimes weave into complexities that are challenging to unravel. This narrative is the tale of my bond with my daughter, Emily. In a gentle unfolding of subtle moments, an unspoken change blossomed between us, guiding us to a junction where we both stood, surprised by the unexpected path that lay ahead. What brought us to this moment, and can we find a path back to the place we once shared? Come, let us share in the experience together as I unfold this journey. The afternoon unfolded gently, with the sun gradually descending behind the towering structures of our neighborhood, enveloping the streets in a soft, amber light as twilight began to embrace the world. Kitchen, I found myself immersed in the rhythm of preparing dinner, the gentle hum of the radio weaving a comforting atmosphere around me. Daughter, Emily, had just come back home after a weekend spent at college. The house exuded a soothing warmth, enveloping me in a gentle embrace of familiarity and peace. In that fleeting instant, all was perfectly aligned. Yet in the stillness of that moment, a profound feeling awakened inside me. Emily had transformed, and it wasn't until she stepped back through the door that I truly understood the depth of that change. It seems like only a moment ago that she was the little girl who trailed behind me, her eyes sparkling with wonder as she asked about life and the mysteries of the world, her curiosity limitless. She transformed from a little girl into a young woman, exuding strength and confidence, yet often carrying an air of distance that caught me off guard. It felt like, over time, the space between us had gently expanded, and I found myself navigating this new reality, seeking to comprehend the quiet distance that had settled in. Dinner was ready, and I called her from the living room, anticipating the warm delight of sharing a meal together. As we settled into our seats at the table, an unspoken change lingered in the air. Her gaze held me captive, causing my words to falter in the air. Her gaze held an intensity, as if she was searching for an answer unspoken between us. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head. We shared moments about her college classes, her friends, and the deep longing she felt for home. Yet, as she spoke, the way she savored my words and the way her gaze lingered on me just a moment longer created an atmosphere where unspoken feelings seemed to float between us. The gentle touch of her arm against mine as she reached for her drink stayed with me, resonating in my thoughts far beyond what I could articulate. After dinner, we chose to share a movie, a simple pleasure we had both missed for quite some time. It was one of those cherished rituals we embraced before she embarked on her journey to college. The living room, softly illuminated, embraced a warmth that felt more inviting than ever, while the plush cushions on the couch created an ideal setting for a serene evening. It had been a while since we shared an evening that flowed so effortlessly, where everything felt beautifully familiar. As the movie unfolded, my gaze drifted toward Emily more frequently than I intended, captivated by the transformation she had undergone, realizing she was no longer the little girl I once knew, but a woman in her own right. As I started to sense a strange unease with the thoughts dancing in my mind, she drew nearer to me on the couch. Initially, I believed it was insignificant. She was simply finding her ease, or so I reassured myself. But then, her hand grazed mine, and the sensation that surged within me was undeniably charged. A jolt coursed through me, an unexpected feeling, a bond one wasn't ready to embrace. In that fleeting instant, a change occurred, a sensation I understood deep down I ought not to experience. I withdrew my hand abruptly, taken aback by the depth of the moment. "What troubles you, Dad?" she inquired, her voice gentle, carrying a hint of worry. As I gazed at her, my heart quickened, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, uncertain of how to react, uncertain of the words to express. What was unfolding? Why did this moment evoke such a sense of conflict, yet feel so irresistibly true all at once? Words eluded me. The sensation we shared in that fleeting touch was undeniable, a moment that lingered in the air between us. It felt like a subtle line had softened, a gentle change in the atmosphere, and while we hadn't ventured beyond any limits, the space between us was charged with unexpressed feelings. There was an undeniable change in our relationship, and I needed time to understand it. "Nothing, darling, I'm simply weary," was all I managed to express, attempting to dismiss the moment while keeping my voice calm and wishing Emily wouldn't sense the unspoken connection lingering in the air. Yet, beneath the surface, I sensed a shift had occurred between us in that moment. It was not merely a passing sensation, it was a deeper connection, something we both felt deeply and could not overlook. The boundary between father and daughter, once so distinct and apparent, had softened, and though we had not transgressed it, the atmosphere surrounding us was laden with unexpressed feelings, too profound to be overlooked. We lingered in quietude, the film unfolding softly behind us, yet our focus had drifted away, lost in unspoken thoughts. The silence hung heavily between us, creating an almost unbearable tension. I rose, softly expressing my need to retire early, yet as I turned to leave, a tightness coiled within me. A shift in our dynamic had occurred, something I couldn't fully define but knew was important, leaving me uncertain about how to navigate it. That night, as I rested in bed, my thoughts danced restlessly. My mind swirled with thoughts, dancing between uncertainty and a lingering sense of bewilderment. I understood the necessity of maintaining a distance between us, yet the thought remained, softly echoing in my mind. What if there was something deeper beneath the surface? What if a delicate thread had been woven into the fabric of fate, one that could never be unraveled? I found myself trying to push away these thoughts, reassuring myself that it was merely a passing moment and that I was perhaps overreacting. Yet, beneath the surface, uncertainty lingered. Something had changed in a way that I could never reverse. The following morning, I awoke with a sense of unease stirring within me. The memories of the night before lingered in my mind, each moment unfolding with a tender intensity. I attempted to persuade myself that it was merely a figment of my imagination, that I was conjuring illusions. I held the role of her father, neither more nor less. My feelings for her run profound, yet they remain clear and unambiguous. It was merely a fleeting instance of openness, I reassured myself. It was simply that, nothing beyond. As I descended the stairs, I found Emily awake, nestled at the kitchen table, lost in the pages of a book. Her smile welcomed me, effortlessly light, as though the weight of the past had vanished. Her face radiated tranquility and warmth, untouched by the events of the previous night. "Good morning," I murmured, striving to sound at ease, hoping my voice would blend with the tranquil, serene aura she radiated. "Good morning, Dad," she responded, her voice carrying a warmth that felt like a gentle embrace. I found myself contemplating a leisurely stroll later on. "Would you care to accompany me? It feels like ages since we shared a moment together." For a fleeting moment, doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps it wasn't wise to be alone with her after all that had transpired. Yet, I swiftly silenced that inner voice, convincing myself otherwise. It was merely a stroll, a tender moment shared between father and daughter. There was nothing amiss with that. "Of course," I replied, making an effort to keep my tone warm and inviting. "That feels lovely." If you're still engaged with this video and feel moved by the story, please share a one in the comments to show me you're here with me. That afternoon, we made our way to a familiar park close to home, a place filled with memories from her childhood. The sky stretched wide and clear, the air invigorating and pure, and for a fleeting moment, all felt as it should. We strolled closely together, sharing whispers of everyday life, reminiscing about cherished moments and future dreams, the light-hearted chatter of her friends weaving through our conversation. A gentle smile graced my lips, a warmth enveloping me, as if the weight of the previous night had simply drifted away. Perhaps I had allowed my emotions to overwhelm me, I thought to myself. Perhaps it was merely my thoughts dancing freely. As we ventured further into the park, we encountered stretches of silence, lingering moments that felt heavier than anticipated. The atmosphere was thick with a weighty silence, filled with the unsaid emotions that lingered between us. As we arrived at a clearing that opened up to the expansive lawn, Emily paused and turned to look at me. "You've always been there for me," she said, her voice gentle, yet there was a depth in her tone that took me by surprise. "Your presence in my life is something I can't imagine being without." Her words held me captive, leaving me momentarily breathless. The softness in her voice caught me off guard, and for a fleeting moment, my heart felt a deep pang. I longed to dissolve the strain, to rekindle the gentle familiarity we once shared. I attempted to smile, hoping to lift the atmosphere around us. "It's nothing to fret over," I said with a light-hearted chuckle. "Dad will always be here." Yet her lips remained uncurled. She moved closer, her expression filled with emotions she struggled to voice, leaving me both intrigued and unable to look away. "No," she murmured, her voice laced with a hint of longing. "You've always been important to me, Dad, in ways that are difficult to express. You mean the world to me." I stood still, caught in the moment. The words lingered in the space between us, rich with significance, and I found myself unprepared for their weight. I looked into Emily's eyes, hoping to find a hint that the event was merely a heartfelt moment, a simple expression of her gratitude for me as a father. Her expression carried a weight I couldn't quite understand, leaving me uncertain of how to respond. "Emily," I murmured, my voice trembling. "You know how much I care for you, aren't you? However, it's not meant to be that way. This isn't the path." "I know," she replied, her voice rich with feeling. "But you always linger in my thoughts." I try to move past these thoughts, yet they remain, lingering in my mind. I felt overwhelmed, as if faced with a moment I wasn't sure how to comprehend. This was not the way a father and daughter should communicate with one another. The situation isn't how I envisioned it. A voice within urged me to flee, to halt the pain before it deepened any more. Yet my body remained still. A sense of unease settled within me, unsure of how to navigate the emotions that surfaced. "We should return," I murmured, my voice trembling. "The hour is late." Just as I was about to step away, Emily's hand briefly touched mine, a small yet noticeable moment that lingered in my mind. "This isn't how it should feel," she whispered to her father, her voice trembling with an unspoken emotion. "I'm aware that such behavior may not be appropriate, yet my emotions are beyond my control." A wave of anxiety washed over me. I withdrew my hand swiftly, retreating from her, my heart racing in my chest. My emotions felt misplaced. This felt completely off. "Emily, our bond is something meaningful, and we need to be mindful of how we navigate our connection." Her gaze met mine, a blend of uncertainty and pain reflected in her expression. In that fleeting instant, it felt as though a spark of connection danced within her gaze. "I'm not confused, Dad," she murmured softly. "I am aware of my emotions." I gently shook my head, my voice trembling under the heaviness of it all. "This feels off. You are my daughter, and it's something we cannot pursue. It feels impossible for us." My words lingered, unspoken, caught in the air. The words lingered in the air, weighted with unspoken longing, too potent to utter aloud. Emily moved in a little closer, her gaze fixed on me, and I realized I needed to intervene before things escalated. I needed to create some space for the well-being of us both. "We should head home," I suggested, my voice quivering as I fought to maintain composure. "This doesn't feel right, Emily. We ought to find a different way to be." Emily lingered, her gaze dropping, her form heavy with unspoken sorrow. Her voice, when she spoke again, was a soft murmur. "I'm so sorry, Dad," she murmured, her voice heavy with remorse. "I never intended to put you in this position." I inhaled deeply, seeking to calm the swirling feelings within me, striving to hold onto my composure. The experience was a moment neither of us had anticipated, and it was something I couldn't simply dismiss. "It's all right, my dear," I whispered gently, even though deep down I understood it wasn't truly all right. We simply need to maintain a little space between us. As we strolled back to the car, a quiet hush enveloped us, the unvoiced emotions hanging in the air, palpable and profound. As we journeyed home, the space between us seemed insurmountable, and I sensed that something had shifted, something profound, leaving us both uncertain about how to navigate beyond it. We drove home in silence, and the atmosphere around us felt more charged than ever before. The air was charged with an unspoken tension, a heavy presence that enveloped us both. There was no turning back now. Something had changed profoundly between us, and though we hadn't overtly crossed any lines, an unspoken boundary had been redefined. Everything had shifted, and a new chapter awaited. Upon arriving home, a profound silence enveloped us. Emily slipped away to her room in silence, leaving me in the living room, enveloped by the stillness of a home that once radiated with life and warmth. Everything appeared familiar. The couch nestled in the corner, the kitchen just a whisper away down the hall, but there was an undeniable shift in the essence of the house now. The silence resonated deeply. The once comforting warmth now seemed distant and cold. The weight in my heart cast a veil over the world, making everything feel far away. A part of me yearned to ascend the stairs, seek Emily, and share the weight of what had transpired, to untangle the emotions swirling within, to understand the implications for our connection. Yet, I understood that taking that step would only deepen the turmoil. The space between us lingered, and it would require patience to learn how to bridge it. I settled onto the sofa, my mind a tempest of swirling thoughts, impossible to escape. I attempted to concentrate, yet my thoughts were consumed by Emily, the girl who once grasped my hand as we navigated the street, the one who endlessly inquired about the wonders of the world. Those days felt like they belonged to another world. Now, she had blossomed into an adult, leaving behind the child I once nurtured. She exuded strength and independence, yet there was an air of vulnerability about her that left me intrigued and contemplative. It felt like the balance between us had changed, leaving me uncertain of my place in this new dynamic. I found myself lost in the tender memories of her younger days. Days spent in the backyard, where laughter danced in the air, and I was always there, a guardian watching over her, shielding her from anything that could bring her harm. I recalled the way she would rush into my embrace after school, sharing the stories of her day, and how I would come for her, assuring her that all would be well. Yet now, everything had changed. Now, she had blossomed into her own, and I stood as her father, ready to guide her, yet allowing her the freedom to explore. I meant my affection for her to remain untouched, free from distractions, but this complex relationship was gradually eroding that clarity. If you're still engaged with this video and feel moved by the story, please share a couple in the comments to show me you're here with me. That night, I struggled to find rest. I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, my thoughts swirling with questions and doubts. What had prompted Emily to express those thoughts? What had stirred those feelings within her? Had I misunderstood the shift in our connection, letting emotions cloud my judgment? Did I falter in nurturing her? What was once a clear and simple connection between us has transformed into something intricate and nearly unrecognizable. The confusion enveloped me, and the haunting worry of our transformation lingered in my mind, casting shadows over the endless hours of the night. The next morning, I awoke with a sense of weariness, feeling both physically and emotionally spent. I had wished that when I finally rose from my slumber, the weight of the previous night's feelings would have lightened, yet they only felt more overwhelming. The distance that lay between us was both expansive and heavy, wrapping around us like a thick fog. Emily slipped away from the room, her absence wrapping around me like a soft shroud, leaving me to navigate the depths of my thoughts amidst the heavy stillness. I lingered at the dining table, seeking calm, as Emily gracefully descended the stairs. She was dressed neatly, her expression serene, yet there was a depth in her eyes that drew me in, a subtle sorrow, a burden she held close but chose not to reveal. "I'll be back to school soon," she said, her voice steady yet laced with the weight of unspoken emotions. I nodded, a swirl of emotions leaving me momentarily speechless. "What words can I find? Perhaps that's for the best," I murmured, striving to maintain my composure. We could use a little distance. She looked my way, her gaze heavy with unspoken feelings, yet silence lingered between us. In silence, she collected her belongings, a quiet intensity enveloping the moment. Moments later, she felt prepared to step out into the world. I lingered in the doorway, captivated as she made her way to the car. My heart felt burdened, enveloped by a feeling I struggled to define. "Have a safe trip," I whispered, my voice heavy with emotion, a lump forming in my throat. She paused, glancing back at me, her eyes brimming with profound feelings. She paused, allowing the silence to linger between them. Instead, she offered a gentle, almost wistful smile. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured, her voice laced with a hint of sorrow, before slipping into her car and departing. I remained still, my gaze lingering as her car faded away down the driveway. As the hum of the engine drifted away, the house enveloped itself in a profound silence, feeling more desolate than it ever had. The silence enveloped me, a chilling embrace, and I sensed that something precious had slipped away, leaving an ache in its wake. I remained in place, captivated, as Emily's car gradually faded from view down the well-known driveway. It seemed as if time had paused, each moment lingering, carrying the heaviness of all that remained unsaid between us. As the sound of the engine drifted away, a profound stillness enveloped the surroundings, and it was not the soothing kind of silence that brings solace. No, it was a haunting stillness, one that resonated through the house, deepening the void that had taken root within me. The house felt different, not because of any physical change, but because something between us had shifted. It felt as though it had been stripped of its very spirit, its heart, with Emily's absence. In that instant, a profound sense of loss washed over me, as if a part of me had slipped away. Something unique, something that can never be reclaimed. In the quiet of the house, I sensed that the gap between Emily and me, though heart-wrenching, would grant us the room we both required. Time would gently guide us to reflect on the events of the past few days, to contemplate deeply, and to uncover clarity within the chaos. Yet, a subtle unease lingered within me, a soft whisper from my core suggesting that we had ventured into irrevocable territory. And even though we had not meant to step over that boundary, the reality lingered between us. Everything felt different now. The atmosphere had transformed, carrying with it an undeniable change that lingered in the air. It was a deep essence in our connection, a quality that could never revert to its former state. The idea of this change lingered in my mind, a weight that felt almost too much to bear. The weeks that followed unfolded like a gentle, lingering journey through a realm of deep emotions. I sought to return to the rhythm of my everyday life, hoping to find solace in the familiar tasks that filled my days. Yet, there was an undeniable shift in the air. The house, while still the same, carried an emptiness that lingered in the absence of Emily. The stillness enveloped me, and my thoughts drifted to her, to the moments we shared, and the journey that led us here. Thoughts of that moment lingered. The depth of her gaze, the significance of her words, continuously washed over me. And no matter how fiercely I attempted to distance myself, they remained close, a haunting presence. I hoped that the space between us would mend the hurt and that time would gently fade the lingering ache of memory. Yet, within the depths of my heart, I understood the truth. When a profound shift occurs in a relationship, its impact lingers, leaving an indelible mark that time cannot erase. A delicate fracture had formed between Emily and me. Despite our efforts and the passage of time, a lingering worry settled in my heart that we might never return to the beginning we once cherished. One afternoon, a few weeks after Emily had departed, a message from her illuminated my screen. She expressed that she was navigating her feelings, recognizing that something felt off and that she required some time to reflect. I savored the message, allowing each word to wash over me gently. A curious blend of relief and melancholy enveloped me. In one moment, I experienced a gentle wave of relief as Emily's understanding of our situation washed over me, illuminating the distance that had grown between us. Yet, it served as a poignant reminder of the deep fractures that existed. We both required a moment to ourselves. It was evident that we both needed to explore our desires for this relationship and find a way to restore the trust that had slipped away. I hoped that the distance between us would provide insight and create space for our hearts to heal. Yet a part of me worried that the scars had already begun to show. The uncertainty wrapped around me like a heavy fog. I found myself wondering if we could ever find our way back to what we once shared. I set my phone aside and gazed out the window. The city beyond remained as tranquil as ever, its familiar skyline gracefully reaching towards the horizon. Yet a sense of tranquility eluded me. The quietness beyond felt like a gentle tease to the chaos swirling within me. I understood that only the passage of time would reveal the truths we both hesitated to confront. Perhaps, in the gentle embrace of time, we might find the clarity to reflect and explore the possibilities of the relationship that awaits us. Yet, beneath the surface, an undeniable sense lingered that everything had irrevocably changed. This chapter in our lives, our bond as father and daughter, had been forever transformed. I hoped time would restore the comfort we once shared, yet uncertainty remained. A sense of inevitability enveloped the moment, one I wasn't prepared to embrace. Yet deep down, I recognized its truth. As I reflect on the past, I realize that the tale I am about to share transcends mere personal memories of the moments shared with Emily. It's a profound insight, a delicate reminder of the boundaries that deserve our respect in the tapestry of family connections. As parents, we embrace the profound duty to nurture and cherish our children without reservation, to offer our guidance, and to stand by them through each chapter of their journey. Yet, we must acknowledge that love encompasses more than simply offering without boundaries. We should embrace their journey with reverence. We should honor their journey as they evolve, value their independence, and, above all, cherish the limits that shape our connections in their world. As the lines between us soften and feelings intertwine, the situation grows intricate. It's simple to become enveloped in the warmth of family ties, to believe that the bond is so profound that nothing could ever disrupt it. Yet, the reality is that relationships transform, and at times they shift in ways we could never foresee or desire. As caregivers, we should maintain clarity, establish limits, and recognize the moments to withdraw before emotions escalate beyond control. To all who embrace the journey of parenthood or cherish deep connections, my guidance is straightforward yet essential. Always keep a clear understanding of your roles. Do not allow feelings to obscure the boundaries that define the connection between parent and child, between siblings, or within any relationship built on profound trust and reliance. One might overlook the significance of fleeting moments, believing that little missteps carry no weight. Yet, in reality, these fleeting moments can create subtle fissures in the very essence of a relationship. Once those fissures emerge, they become profoundly challenging, if not unattainable, to mend. The insight I've gained is that it's essential to remain wise, to discern the line between right and wrong, and to sense when to pause, to acknowledge when the moment has slipped away, and when to retreat to avoid crossing boundaries. Honoring boundaries, even when it feels difficult, is essential for safeguarding the most cherished connections in our lives. Without those boundaries, we may find ourselves drifting away from the things we cherish most deeply. And once that moment arrives, there's no turning back. As I ponder the moments shared with Emily, I am struck by the delicate nature of connections, particularly when we overlook the subtle cues that indicate our boundaries have been breached. Yet, I hold the belief that through the passage of time, genuine honesty, and a deep respect for each other's boundaries, we can mend what has been fractured. It may not come without its challenges, and the past may linger in our memories, yet with tenderness and compassion, we can forge a fresh path together, discovering a deeper connection in our relationship as we move ahead. Ultimately, this is the most profound insight. Boundaries transcend mere guidelines for behavior. They are the essence of vibrant, enduring connections. In their absence, we may find ourselves drifting away from who we are and from one another. I appreciate you for allowing me to share this story with you. Sharing an experience isn't simple, yet often the most profound lessons arise from our most challenging moments. What insights have you gained from this narrative up to this point? Perhaps it's the significance of honoring boundaries or how fleeting moments can influence the course of a relationship. Whatever it may be, I invite you to ponder a significant insight that you will carry with you in your life. We invite you to share in the comments one insight you've gained and how you intend to embrace it as you move ahead. If this video resonates with you, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that speaks to you. Thank you for sharing in this beautiful journey together.